The following is a presentation of iRacing.com motorsport simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Live tonight from the new Smyrna Speedway, the 2016-2017 Upstate Racing League Lays Enterprises MP Roy Incorporated Pro Late Model Series continues into the third round of this championship. And once again, happy to have Kingsport Tire and Auto Center on board with us tonight for 125 laps of action from the new Smyrna Speedway. Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to LSRTV and iRacing Live as we continue a short track Thursday night action here tonight from Samsula, Florida. Topside with you as always, myself, Evan Pasoko, alongside with Austin Coop and a lovely and talented Cisco Scaramouza downstairs, pushing the buttons and bringing us to you here this evening. For the first time on this 2016-17 campaign, Austin Rico racing for 125 laps. The two races that we've seen up to this point, one by Stefan Marinak at Iowa and Justin Fuller 1 week ago at Indianapolis, have been 100-lap events. Well, we've got 4 weeks in a row of races that'll be at least 125 laps, so they get a little bit longer from this point on through. I don't think that's going to be a huge difference here tonight, but it is something definitely to note when you come to the strategy as well.
Yeah, with that tire play, as we'll talk about later on in the broadcast, you can only take a certain amount of tires. That's 4 tires total, and you can only take 2 of them at a time. So in reality, you can only really make 2 or 1 stop, and we've seen it happen before where we've had really long green flag runs like last week, and we've also seen the week before where we kind of had some chopped up, really equally divided caution flags that really helped some guys out for the 2-tire strategy. They never really have to worry about fuel because they will at least come down once for those tires because they'll definitely need them. But this tire strategy, and they'll probably take, if they go for 2, they'll probably take right sides both times, is really crucial for some of these teams who really need to get on the ball for points. Those guys who are back there towards the end of the line or at the end of the grid, they're going to try and think of maybe something different to get themselves projected back up to the top of the points list.
We'll take a look at a couple of the points as well, the rookie points through 2 weeks, but also starting to see in the overall championship standings. A couple of things start to balance themselves out. Again, the opening 11 races of this championship are going to determine the top 12 of the points who get an opportunity to race in the 5-race chase for the championship. And the season is still young, but you saw Brandon Otto, Stefan Marinak, Nicholas Rasmussen at the top of the regular standings into tonight. You also take a look at the rookie points as well into tonight, just 2 races done. So kind of getting an idea of who's going to be a factor here and there. There is still a long way to go until we get to talk about that cutoff line for the overall points. Right now, it's Al Smith Jr. and CJ LaVere in 12th and 13th. That's a 2-point differential. We still have 9 races though, Austin, before we get to that. When we look back and talk a little bit about the race from Lucas Oil Raceway 1 week ago, Justin Fuller got the win. Brandon Otto, Dale O'Neill, Jason Stenny, and Brian Rogers Jr. top 5. We also saw Eric Hanks, Stefan Marinak, Lucas Rasmussen, AJ Hamill, and Gilani Fortin inside of the top 10. Tonight, as in that race, we talk about the tire strategy that is important in this series. Couple of races, these guys have limited tires available. Tonight, they have no tires available. What you got on the car is what you're going to have to race with, from the drop of the green flag through to the checkered flag. So the biggest thing, if that wasn't the case, that I think the extra 25 laps would have played into a factor here tonight would be when you come down pit road. Well, since that's not a factor, that's why I don't think the 125 lap number is going to make that big of a difference. If we see a race where there's a car which is clearly better, and in the first 2 races I think so far on this season, we have seen relatively dominant cars end up in victory lane. Now, if it's a hotly contested one, those extra 25 laps and a couple more restarts here and there could absolutely be the difference.
Yeah, and thinking about those extra 25 laps and thinking about the drivers who aren't up so on the wheel, those drivers will be able to save their stuff a little bit more, and if they're cognitive of that, if they think of that cognitively, they'll be able to save their tires maybe more than those leaders, and perhaps later on in the run, if we get a caution, they'll have much fresher tires than, say, the leader and a couple of guys may be fighting for that lead, and they may be able to do some damage to those guys' leads, or maybe even take control of the race if they play it out well enough.
Qualifying session is already drawn to a close here tonight, and we get set to go trackside. Let's look at tonight's starting lineup for the Kingsport Tire and Auto Center 125. The NHR Pole Award tonight belongs to Justin Fuller. He'll roll off for the number 1 position tonight behind the wheel of the number 50 Water Machine. Looking to go back-to-back, get a second win on the year. He starts up front alongside with Dale O'Neill. Dale O'Neill came home, as we just noted, third a week ago. He looks to improve on that here tonight. Just behind them, Nicholas Rasmussen gonna roll tonight the number 3 position. Al Smith Jr. right about that cut line. Again, still early, but trying to knock off a couple of top 5 finishes. He looks for his first top 5 result of the year tonight in 4th position behind Tim Winner from the season opener. Stefan Marinak is P5.
Justin McDuff in that number 20 Brass Pro Shops Ford. He'll start 6th. Next to him is going to be, or behind him is going to be Jason Stenny in 7th. Eric Hagg with a good finish last week. He's going to start 8th. Dan Dubuque is going to start 9th. And J.D. Callahan will start 10th.
AJ Hamill going to start tonight 11th position. CJ LaVere alongside him in 12th. Unlucky number 13 tonight belongs to Brian Rogers Jr. He's got Paul Fugate alongside in 14th. Got Monty Fortin in 15th.
John Atta is going to start 16th. Cale Frenier is going to start 17th. AJ Bunch 18th. And Alex Oriens is going to start 19th with Dylan Godet to his outside in 20th.
Final 5 times in qualifying: Eric Spencer, 21st position; James McIntyre Jr. in 22nd; Mike Holtzclaw, Jay Dubuque, 23rd, 24th; Travis Wallace, 25th, and your championship leader, defending series champion, but still looking for a trip to victory lane on the year, Brandon Otto, shotgun on the field tonight in the number 26 spot. That's the outside of row number 13. With that, though, we're ready to drop the green flag for the 3rd time on the year. As always, happy to have you with us right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. Pace car gonna knock down to the way. Justin Fuller in control. He comes to the American Ethanol. Green flag underway for New Smyrna down to turn number 1. Good jump for the inside and out. A side-by-side fight for the race lead as O'Neill tries to fight back topside down the back.
Yeah, side by side going to turn 3. The bottom's always where you want to be, but O'Neill's taking a pretty good shot at the outside, then tucks back into turn 4, and that's kind of a typical thing to do, is just to get straight in lines. We're going to see all these drivers get single file. We do have a battle for, looks like 5th right there, with Stefan Marinak taking advantage of the spot over Jason Stenner for 4th, and Alex Smith Jr., he's right behind him, looking a little hungry right there.
Yeah, we saw a good qualifying effort, I believe, last week at the number 96 team. Things started to go downhill, though, as the night went on. We'll see if he could, again, as I noted, looking for a first top 5 results on the year. He does also still need to pick up maybe a possible second top 10 result on the year. He already has 1 through to this point, but a 96 machine does drop back 2. And Jason Stenny, who just made the move on him, is on the move. He went 7th to 5th very quickly, so he's going into the positive, but things up inside the top 10, single filed out rather quickly here. Battle behind for 11th spot at the moment. AJ Hamill's number 18 machine slides up off of turn number 2, takes the spot away from CJ LaVere in that battle.
I tell you what, Justin Fuller is getting a rear view full of Dale O'Neill. He's taking multiple looks on the inside of him right there, and he's backed off a little bit right now, but he's taking multiple looks into turn 3. That's where he's really picked up the most time. Getting into 3 and out of 4, you'll see him get really close there into 3, and out of 4, he's right there. Look for him to make maybe a move here pretty soon. I think Dale O'Neill's pretty darn hungry.
He'll go inside by side, the number 96 machine. You take a look back, Al Smith Jr. on the outside of the racetrack, under attack by Eric Hagg, the number 99. Trying to pick up a spot on the night. He's already got some back-end damage. You see, squared on the back bumper, he's got damage, and on the nose of the 29 behind him, there's a little bit of damage as well. So you put 2 and 2 together. Things have been physical a little bit in the opening 7 laps of this race. 99 almost got clear that time, but a 2 really squeezing the 96 up against the fence. He's not giving him any extra room, and with that number 96 machine way up top, Hagg going to get the spot. Next on the attack is J.D. Callahan.
You know, something you can forget with this track is that turn 4 is so wide, but turn 4 is so wide, but turn 2 is so skinny. And if you go into turn 2 a little too hot, you're going to go up the track a little bit, and that's what we're seeing. Al Smith Jr., he did that a couple laps ago, and he's getting a little bit of a break there. CJ Lavere definitely let him in right there. To let him get that top 10, and then they can fight for it here a little bit later. Behind them is going to be the 44 and the 61 of Paul Fugate and Dan DeBeck. They're battling for the top 15 spot right there.
Going to continue on. It's over 5 seconds off of the top position right now. Justin Fuller has not been under attack until now. We take a look topside. Dale O'Neill just got the nose of his number 16 Chevrolet to the inside. That time to turn number 2. The 51's able to pull back in front of him, but O'Neill looks like he's got a car that can challenge here now through 10 laps.
Yeah, he goes really high into 1 and really powers off of 2. You know, you will see Justin Fuller, he stays right there in the middle of both corners, and it looks like overall that's kind of looking like the way to go. But at turn 4, he has the nose under him. You know, 3 and 4, Dale is way better, but I think if Justin can really hold on turn 1 and 2, he won't be able to pass him just because of how much momentum he'll have.
Also right there behind them, Nicholas Rasmussen, 71, kind of hanging out in the party. We noted that the driver who's at the top of the championship was way down. Well, Brandon Oda, who started in 26th position, is only in 24th. There is always that risk of having problems when you start these races back in the back, and he's got some pretty heavy front-end damage. Not going to be a good night.
Early on, we had some major contact with a few drivers. Brandon Odo, Janice McIntyre, and Jay Dubeck, they all had significant damage. The only one of those 3 that's still on the track actually is going to be Brandon Odo, and he knows the implications of going multiple laps down. So I am sure he's down on power, and he's trying to figure something out. Is the battle for the lead not going anywhere? You know, the number 16, he's all over Justin Fuller about every lap out of turn 4. So that's something to keep our eyes on too as we continue forward.
You can see the 16 driving it into the corner a little bit more here and there. He ends up about maybe 2 to 3 lanes up off of the yellow line. Not that everybody is holding that yellow line all the way through. They almost kind of diamond it from the center of the quarter. Take a little bit of a wider arc in because things do tighten up quite a bit here. When you do come off of the turn, you see those left side tires get closest to the yellow line. Probably when they're about 2/3 of the way through the quarter is when they really try to go for the apex. Mironak still there within 1.3 seconds in 4th position, but it is clearly starting to turn into a top 3 breakaway at the moment. Still single file in line. Dale O'Neill is there. He's pressuring. Question is he faster than the 50 with adjusted Fuller? Fuller obviously out-qualified him. They roll 1-2 right now. That's exactly where they started. Justin Fuller was second best in warm-up. Dale O'Neill was 4th best amongst the drivers. So as they run right now, they appear to be pretty even, but the 16 machine is doing something what we talked about very rigorously in the first 2 races is if the 51's out in front, and in one case it was Fuller, who was that example leading a race, the guy in second just needs to keep him there. Don't drop back 3 seconds because it's hard to take advantage of a mistake. Even if you're not better than him at the moment, if you can stay there and keep him honest, maybe you force him into some sort of a mistake.
Yeah, when someone's in your rear view for that long, you're always watching him all the time, and with that extra eye looking up, sometimes you don't look at where you're at, specifically going into turns and out of turns. You know, as a driver, you can tell yourself, you know, I gotta look forward, but if you make even the slightest mistake, you gotta look back, and then that could be when a second mistake happens, as you're seeing Dale he's trying a little couple different things. He's trying to go higher, trying to go lower in the corners, trying to see what he's got. But something else, Evan, that we need to think about is how hard they're driving, and whether or not they're really abusing their tires for the long run. I know we're going to be catching some lap traffic here soon, which is really going to complicate some things. But if we have a caution later on in the race, and these guys are racing it out like they are, I have a feeling that they're burning up their tires a little more than they'd like to, especially Dale. He's really running hard, and I think the top 3 drivers, the one who's doing the best job with their tires, that 71 car.
Taking a look to the inside once again, Dale O'Neill, still nothing comes from it. You do see Rasmussen the last time around, the furthest back in the running order that he's been, 0.6 of a second, still holding at number 3 spot. And again, it goes back to the conversation about tires. We saw tires available in the first race, not here tonight. You got to keep the tires on the car. Inside that time, Fuller sideways off for the corner, but he kept the foot and the gas and the right foot down, and he was able to pull back off of the corner and keep the AtomicWraps.com machine in front, but he is not holding anything back sideways again.
Yeah, and in a way, they're kind of playing around a little bit. You know, I think Dale could have really pushed that car in a little bit more, but wow, he definitely got into him out of the corner, and Justin Fuller's right end, he definitely stepped out there and almost hit the wall. Thank goodness for New Smyrna having that extended wall at a 4. That was very close, but this battle is really heating up, and I think Dale is getting a little impatient here.
Yeah, and it's short track racing, so the question is always, do you go to the bumper? Well, that time by 25 down, 100 to go, and even if he wanted to, he'll have to wait. Caution flag out for the first time tonight. Problems for the 61 of Danny Dubuque.
Yeah, someone hit the bumper, and that's gonna be the 44 of Paul Fugate getting into the side of him. They've been battling for multiple laps. You're gonna see right here, Paul Fugate, he gets in the gas a little early. Looks like he steps up the track. He starts to slow down, knowing that he's going up the track, but it's all too late as he gets into him pretty good. Not a lot of significant for Paul, but a lot of damage for that 97 and that 44 car.
A tough break, maybe just the slightest bit of a push off for the quarter. Contact starts, and as you noted, the 97 and 19 also pick up some form of damage. And that with no issues for your race leaders. They'll jack them up and pull in line behind the American Childhood Cancer Organization Ford Mustang GT pace car. And again, pit road, you can come down to get damage fixed. There's no tires available, so maybe the caution flag going to help these guys out. I'm sure they will welcome as many caution flag periods as they can. Get the tire temperatures cooled down, but also limit the amount of green flag laps that you got on it, because again, just right at the moment of caution, actually, take you to 100 laps to go, the average total race length distance that we've seen so far through to this point. I noted that a couple of the upcoming races is going to be longer distances. We've already seen 100 laps so far this year at Iowa and Lucas Oil Raceway. Well, tonight, 125 laps for New Smyrna. We will have 2 more 125 lap races coming up. The next 2 races, round 4 from the USA International Speedway. That'll be the NHR 125. We'll go to Lanier National Speedway the week after that for the Kingsport Tire at Auto Center 125. Then we go to Irwindale, 127 laps in the Atomic Signworks 127. It's not till round 7 at Richmond, and that's another one of the larger tracks that we go to until we get back down to the 100 lap distance. Something else to note is it is a 25 car cap on the field tonight. However, 26 drivers were signed up to race, so race control allowed all 26 to join the grid here tonight. We do have 23 of them still being scored on the lead lap. Jay Dubuque, who was involved in contact earlier, is the 26th place car at the moment, 28 laps down, and he's pit side trying to get some of that damage fixed.
Yeah, someone else who's trying to figure out what to do is John just recently in that caution. His engine didn't blow immediately, but he started going around the track, and you know, when you get these engines to go from high RPM to low RPM, they don't really like that. And I guess since when he got the damage, he tried to get that car up to speed to catch the field, and it just blew up. So don't know if that's going to be a short repair or a long repair. It's kind of here or there sometimes with iRacing. But he's in the garage right now trying to see if he can get a new engine in that thing.
Take a look as we get set to get ready for the restart. Lights back off on top of the pace car, and they're side by side with the 51 and the 16. Fuller going to elect to choose the outside. The race leader does not have the option to choose the lane in which they want to start on the drop of the first green flag on tonight on the restarts. They do have the option to choose inside or outside. I believe we saw last week as well, Justin Fuller like the outside for the restarts. We'll go at it once more. 31 laps down, green flag back in the air.
Well, when you choose the outside and you get a jump like that, it's no kidding. He chose the outside. Dale was sleeping on the restart, and he's going to have the 25 of Stefan Marinac. He's going to be up 2 spots on this restart. He's not going to clear him quite yet, but Stefan Marinac has been a fast guy this whole season. And wow, what a move. What a power move. Up 2 spots, and he's going to clear him. He's going to be in second place. Started 4th on that restart.
Oh, big jump behind. Hamill's in the fence. Caution flag is out as well. Heavy damage on the Eric Hag, number 99.
Oh wow, that was a big hit. You know, we saw him get turned into the wall right front first. I don't know whether he was slowing down because he thought the caution was going to happen already, but he got into, it looks like the 18. Oh, he got hit from the behind. The 2 looked like he was trying to, I don't know what happened there. The 2 didn't give enough room. It's more or less a racing deal, but a lot of miscommunication there from those drivers, and a lot of drivers, at least the 18, had no clue what was going on and just got turned.
A tough break for those guys. I know that it's continuing bad luck for the number 99 team. And again, contact from behind, and it's that staggering where you have an issue. If you're next to somebody and you're door to door, you make contact, it's okay. But when you have that, half a foot to a foot where the nose is just on the quarter panel, you very rarely get away with that. And it was a tough break. 18 got heavy damage. I think Eric Hay actually ended up getting the worst of it. And kind of where it all started. Those drivers tend to get away scot-free in these ones. Eric Hag over the radio that time saying that his night is done, and a 99 team probably not going to be able to get back out on track.
Looking at the replay a couple more times, I think with this, the way the wall is, I don't think the 2 was going up to the wall like you typically do, and I think that's where the contact ensued is with this track, it has that extended turn 4 wall, and I think just a little bit of miscommunication happened between them. Nonetheless, up front, it's Justin Fuller. I'll tell you what, looking at the 25 car, he's the Flash for sure. That's his paint scheme on for the night. That car, oh wow, that was something, wasn't it, Evan?
Yeah, it's something that's going to happen here and there, and we'll see how the season plays out as well. Looking at tonight's race again, third race on the championship, not a huge deal in the overall picture, and we're going to start to see what. It's kind of funny because when the season restarts, if you will, Austin, a lot of these guys. I'm sure they don't like certain drivers as much as others, but I have a feeling in the coming weeks we're also going to be able to kind of start to see some rivalries form, which is a fun part of this kind of racing.
Rivals in short track racing, Evan? I would have never thought of that. But yeah, you're definitely right. Those are going to start to build up and fuel throughout the season. And, with wrecks like what just happened, that could easily fuel a small rivalry. But I think the rivalry we're seeing currently starting to formulate just from racing on the track is that 25 and that 51 of Justin Fuller. Those 2 have always been up front racing each other. They were racing each other at Iowa a lot. These 2 are going to be fun to watch the races. They always put on a good show by themselves. Now that they're side by side, I think this will be an interesting restart.
Race winner from Iowa, race winner from Indianapolis. 2 guys have got a victory lane so far this year. They're side by side on the front row. Let's see what Dale O'Neill can do. No option to choose the lane from second row on back. So the 16 is on the inside, row number 2. We'll see if Marinak can do anything with it. But Fuller once again up and away. Green fly back in the air, and he takes off. 4 car lengths off to 1 and 2. And side by side for second now is Marinak and Rasmussen. Nowhere for Dale O'Neill to go.
Yeah, it's really surprising that he got away with that twice. You'd be thinking that, Stefan Marinak would have been expecting it since he benefited off of it so much. He doesn't lose as much ground as Dale O'Neill lost the previous restart, and so he's still going to maintain second place as the 43 goes low on the 16 of Dale O'Neill. That's Jason Stenny. He was looking for a little bit of greed and backed off. It probably was the better of the 2 decisions there. But what a great restart by that 51. He knows when to go, I guess, more than anybody else. The 25 and the 16, I don't know if they're waiting longer than anticipation was counting for, but definitely caught them both sleeping there, Evan.
I think that's the key for the 51 machine as well, and it's something that we talked about last week. I kept thinking that the more restarts we have, sooner or later, the guys are going to catch on to Justin Fuller. This guy has tons of experience on the short tracks here, and you might just not be able to beat about it, especially when he dictates when we go back to the green flag conditions. It's very difficult. That on top of the fact that in this series, he has the option to choose what lane he wants to restart it. It's hard to get a jump on him. Nonetheless, just trying to keep up. In fact, that was his best restart so far tonight because he's 0.5 of a second in front. If you look back at the first run of this race where he had Dale O'Neill all over and a couple of times inside of him for 25 laps after that. Marinak still runs P2. Rasmussen, who was on the outside of row 2 for the restart, technically in 4th position, I think still had a better restart spot, though, than what we saw Dale O'Neill have. So the 71 picked up 3rd at a 16, now down to a race lowest 4th position.
Yeah, those 2nd through 4th cars, those cars are really battling pretty hard, and it's everything that Justin Fuller wants to see. If they race a little bit harder through the coming laps, Justin Fuller, he can kind of relax a little bit. You know, the 25 and the 71, they're doing good battle, and you know the 61, the 16's hungry as he just walks that thing down to the bottom of the track. You know, he can't do that every lap, but you know, he's going to try it every once in a while to see if he can get that 71 to either give it up or to move up the track to give him some room. But the 16 car is really destroying his tires a little bit more than everybody else is. He's trying to go down to the very bottom of the track. He's on the inside of the 71 right there, but just can't pull it off on the exit of 4.
You saw how difficult it was when he tried to make the move on Justin Fuller for the number 1 spot. I don't expect it to be any easier on Nicholas Rasmussen. So far, what we're seeing tonight is relatively limited side-by-side and sustained battles in the pack, and you see a lot of them quickly here and there, but I'd say 75-80% of the passes tonight have come within 3-4 laps of the restarts. That could be especially key as the night goes on. The issue that Dale O'Neill is going to have to deal with is that when we talked about him not letting Fuller get away, well, after those 25 laps when the first yellow came out, Austin, we did see Marinak start to fade back. At that point, Nicholas Rasmussen was about 2 seconds back. Fuller's got clean air. He's taking off. He's running away. If Dale O'Neill gets stuck behind the 25 at a 71, who in theory will start to fall off as this run carries on. If that first stint was any sort of indication, then he's going to end up 1.5, 2 seconds, etc., depending on how long it goes, seconds back of Fuller, and then at that point, doesn't matter if you eventually pass him, the damage has been done. So we are talking about absolutely trying to conserve the tires, make them last 125 laps. We got 75 to go this time by, and I think he's got to get something going.
And if you're Dale O'Neill, you know, unless you put the bumper to them, you're not going to pass them unless you have. Let me start over. In order to make a pass going side by side, it's probably going to take a few laps unless he uses that bumper, or unless the 71 makes a mistake, which we have been seeing Nicholas Rasmussen get a little bit loose off of the corners, but he's been able to gather it up pretty well. I have a hard time feeling that the 16 is going to really have it easy. I know he probably has the faster car than those two in front of him, as they are starting to catch Justin Fuller just a little bit, but he still has to pass 2 cars just to get to him, and that's no easy feat either.
Tight squeeze on the inside. Jay Dubuque back on track at a Mountain Dew kickstart entry. Again, we noted he was 28 laps down at the first yellow. He's now 34 laps down, scored in 26th position. He's back on track, and wasn't that close of a call because, again, these guys don't go all the way down to the yellow line, so they had to step it up just a little bit on exit. They were able to get by him, but a good job at the lap machine to not get in the way, and Fuller, Marinak, Rasmussen in the top 3 had no issues getting by. But now we are seeing Stefan Marinak. It's the first time tonight that we've seen the 25 restart from second, and that was obviously by getting around Dale O'Neill on the second most recent restart in this race. He's looking pretty good. Again, Fuller consistently is better on the long runs. Well, we're starting to creep into that territory on this stint, and in fact, nobody looks like they're fading.
Yeah, if anybody's fading, it's actually Justin. He's really letting the guys behind him catch up quite a bit. And we're watching Stefan Marinak go up the track a little bit. You know, with the dynamic track that we have in iRacing, it's almost like realistic track conditions, more or less, as you would see at your local track, is you're watching him try some different lines. And going into one, you're going to see him go just a slight bit higher. And maybe he's seen that there's a little more speed coming off the corner every time he does that, as they are starting to lose the guys behind him. The 71 and the 16, they've lost a little bit of ground, and they look like they're more or less doing battle with each other, which is actually good for Dale O'Neill. If he can go one-on-one with Nicholas Rasmussen, he'll have a way better shot of executing that pass.
Trying to get the position taken away, and I think it's common knowledge in racing that the longer you fight with somebody side by side in fourth position, the slower your lap time is going to be, and it's going to cost you time. So that's why when he gets the opportunity, and he got to the inside of Rasmussen a couple laps ago, when he gets there, he can't afford to give it up. You got to get the pass done like a Band-Aid, rip it off, get it done quickly, and move on with it. And the longer that they fight, the worse it's going to be for them. Brandon Otto, as we noted, championship leader into tonight, had that major front-end damage after contact earlier in the night. Well, the engine just gave up after 52 laps of contest. His night is done, and he is going to fall to at least 22nd in the points in this race specifically. And when you talk about how close things are in the overall points, only 20 points between 1st and 10th in the standings, it's going to be a rough night in the points overall for the 24 crew.
Yeah, let the anchor go, because he's going straight to the outside of the top 10 of the points. Well, maybe not to the bottom of the top 10, but he's definitely going to lose multiple spots. Stefan Marinak, Nicholas Rasmussen, Stenny, O'Neill. He's going to lose all those spots just because of an unfortunate place to be, starting almost dead last, basically. And navigating through traffic as a really fast car is not easy. We see it in any series, but especially at short track racing when you're so clustered together, and if you're expecting another driver to go faster than they are willing to go, typically you get into them, and then your night's not going to be easy after that.
19 drivers at the moment being scored on the lead lap. Talking about a couple of the other battles on track. Dale stuff funny with Nicholas Rasmussen. A good look. CJ Lavergne with Amani Fortin, the number 2 and the 13. They're doing a battle right now for 7th spot. There's other battles in the pack. Cale Frenier and AJ Bunch. But at the moment, most of those are single out. Contact in the back of the pack. 22 of Mike Holtzclaw. Going to get turned. And there goes Travis Wallace. So caution is back out in the 65 for good measure, and he gets dumped.
Yeah, that was
a lot.
We were seeing
10
that.
seconds.
We were seeing that kind of brew there for a while. We knew the pass was going to be coming from that 44 car, but it looks like another issue with or not the 44. I'm sorry. Looks like another issue with the 86.
Yeah, so I was just looking through these battles, and again, we saw the contact. The 86 went to the bottom and just didn't get low enough. I think Holtzclaw bottom was wide open. Paul Fugate had no issues fitting on the inside, and 86 just got him, and there was contact there, and I'm not sure if it was just the car spun up the hill or if the 22 wanted to make sure he wasn't alone, but was up the track and collected, coincidentally, the car that hit him in the back bumper. And both those cars went around, and 31 hit the 22. They were driving into each other. 65 hit the 22, and Mike Holtzclaw did not appreciate that. And that was probably 6-7 cars total. Got at least some piece of that.
Yeah, when you look at the replay multiple times, it's hard to say that was an accident per se. The 22 couldn't gone any higher, and with them being double file, you'd expected a little more room from another driver. The good thing for that 22 of Holtzclaw is that he's not a lap down. However, he does have multiple damage, and he won't only get that lap back when we get 1 to green. So he'll take that lap around, follow to the end of the field right before they go green. Whenever we get the one, actually, he's going to come down pit road now. This time by, he will go lap down and try and get some damage fixed on that car.
We're going to see the damage start to compound as the night goes on. This caution, though, did check us back up. You take a look at the top of the screen on the LSRTV ticker, take a look top to bottom at the running order, but also we're almost at the halfway point. Once we do cross lap number 75, we will start counting down in this race. Nearly halfway through tonight's Kingsport Tire and Auto Center 125. Let's take this opportunity to take a look at tonight's iRacing debate race break, brought to you by iRacing. Top to bottom, Justin Fuller started on pole position. He's in control at the moment. Stefan Marinak, Nicholas Rasmussen, Dale O'Neill, and Jason Stenny inside the top 5. Justin McDuff, CJ Lavergne, Guillemani Fortin, Brian Rogers Jr., JD Callahan, the top 10.
Al Smith Jr. 12th. Cale Frenier is going to be 12th. AJ Bunch 13th. Dylan Gadet is going to be 13th. Paul Fugate, Goodette's going to be 14th. Paul Fugate's going to be 15th. AJ Hamill 16th. Eric Spencer 17th. Alex Orions 18th. He's the first car a lap down. And Mike Holtzclaw, just in that accident, 19th, with James McIntyre Jr. also behind him. He's going to be 2 laps down.
Drivers' laps down also include Travis Wallace, Brennan Otto, Danny Dubuque, Ira Kang, Jay Dubuque, and John Ada. Back in front of the field, Justin Fuller going to get back on the gas pedal. Green flag flies once again, and we're back underway here tonight at lap number 70. That was a look at your iRacing Debate Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, you can visit iRacing.com and sign up today. Marinac slide job. He goes high and clears. Dale O'Neill crossover back to the inside. Goes to 16. Critical position for the 16 Chevrolet. He can't get it.
Nah, he dove it really hard into one and could not execute off the corner. But in a way, it's kind of a break for him. He did get that position from Nicholas Rasmussen, who was in front of him the time before we got wrecked on the front straightaway.
Caution going to come back out. Jason Stenny at a number 43 machine may have ended up with a piece of that one as well. Second time tonight we've seen a quick yellow off of a restart, and it looked like the 43 just got a little bit too tight coming off of the corner, and he ran the number 20, adjusted to McDuff out of room. You take a second look at the LSRTV replay. The Vast Pro Shops machine sent for a rod, and we check him up again.
Yeah, that's nothing we haven't seen at a track like this before. You know, we'll see plenty of it next week when the corners aren't so wide as the turn 4 here. But the 20 and the 43 definitely got it woed down. I think they were aware what was going on whenever the contact did ensue. So not a lot of damage by either driver, but they are going to have to go to that end of the lead lap. Maybe get some damage fixed. I know the 43 does have some right fender damage, and the 20 has some rear damage, but overall, neither car has significant damage that would take them out of being racy for the race.
We'll take a quick opportunity to step aside. We'll come right back to the new Smyrna Speedway on the other end. You're watching the 2016-17 Upstate Racing League on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Back live from the new Smyrna Speedway as we get set to go back at green flag racing conditions. Justin Fuller and Stephanie Marinac side by side on the front row. 77 laps down, coming to take 73 to go in the Kingsport Tire Auto Center 125. It's round number 3 of the Upstate Racing League Pro Late Model Series. Green flag flies once again, and it's the same old song and dance. Justin Fuller gone on the outside of the racetrack. We'll see once again that challenge for P2. easily won that time by Marinac, and now Dale O'Neill in a tough spot. Had to restart in the number 3 position, which we'll be seeing tonight is actually worse than restarting in the number 4 spot. So here comes Nicholas Rasmussen for the outside of row number 2. Up the top of the racetrack, they challenge side by side for 3rd. O'Neill with a good run at a 2, and he got it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Rasmussen went real high into turn 2 and almost got that 2-car under him, and the 2-car of CJ LeVere puts the bumper to him. We got some cars around in turn 3 and 4.
Leaders still clean and green in 1 and 2. No caution, we stay green. Dylan Goodette sideways in the middle of the racetrack. He's got to get it turned around and get going. Here come your race leaders, and it looks like the track has been vacated.
Yeah, well, there was definitely all reason to have caution, but I think some of these drivers are going to be happy that they can actually race this out. There is a car with a blown motor on the track that's still making some circuits. I'm sure that they'll exit to the pits here soon. That's Holtzclaw. He's going to dodge pit road, and he's going to throw a bunch of dust in front of everybody's faces, which is always a good thing, as we're going to see some obstruction here. This is not good for these leaders.
Can't see, yeah, heavy smoke at the inside, and Fuller almost into the fence. He caught it a little bit that time at a 2. He had to adjust his lawn. No idea why Holtzclaw's not going to pit road. He'll go down this time, and he's able to get it inside of the pit road walls. So the 22 going to bring it down. His night mostly done, but that was a hairy couple of laps because he was littering the track with thick black smoke, making it very hard for Justin Fuller to see.
Yeah, from the broadcast views, I couldn't really see much either. I mean, it was hard to see where these drivers were going to go, and it was also they also had to deal with Dylan Goodette, who is also slow, who's actually kind of starting to become a hindrance to that 51 of Fuller, not knowing exactly where he's going to go. He's not quite that much down on power, but they're going to catch the 65 and the 26 here at the same time. As you see, the 65, he loops it. He's going to kind of go to pit road. I don't know if that was his plan or not, but he does get down there. But that does vacate that bottom line for all these leaders to come by now.
And there going to come up single file, 51 clear. Here comes the 25. Stefan Marinac through as well. Dale O'Neill and Nicholas Rasmussen. The top 4 that we've been talking about have been the only people inside of the top 4, it seems, for the most of it. Again, Marinac technically started in 5th, but he made a quick move at Al Smith Jr., who has since fallen to 9th. We haven't talked much about the names in between those last 2, though. How about 5th through 8th at the moment? CJ LeVere is 5th. He's up 7 spots from it starting in 12th. Guillemani Fortin, he's up 9 positions after starting 15th. He's P6. It also movers Brian Rogers Jr. P7, and JD Callahan at 8th have also gone positive from where they started.
Yeah, the only driver inside the top from 5th to 10th that hasn't gained spots would be that Al Smith Jr. machine. Everyone else has been coming up from the rings, and then everyone back from about 10th on back. Not everybody, but most have actually been dropping. So these guys from 5th to 10th, they are charging forward and making every use of the tires that they have. You know, we talked about earlier on in the broadcast how it was possible that some of these guys could have been saving a little bit. CJ LeVere, I know for a fact, has been doing that. He's been benefiting from these cautions, not only getting those tires to be cooled down, but also gaining positions from these wrecks. You know, a lot of these wrecks happen from about 8th to 12th on the track. I know the last one that we had without a caution happened real deep in the field, but most of these cautions have been happening with lead lap guys, which have been benefiting some of these guys who've been a little bit more reserved. And I think that CJ LeVere machine, he does have something for the guys up front. He's lost him for now, but I think he'll be coming back before it's all over.
So far to this point, though, things have not gotten nasty, if you will. We've seen great racing. There's been a little bit of contact here and there, but they really haven't started using the bumper for position quite yet. And I think that that time may slowly be running out. We take a quick peek at the battle for 15th, the number 20 machine of Justin McDuff fighting with the 73 of Eric Spencer. Both of those cars look like they've seen better days. McDuff could win that battle. That's about 9 seconds off for the top spot. But for Justin Fuller, he's holding a consistent 5/10 of a second advantage. And again, 5/10, not a whole lot. On a short track, you brush the fence once, you get a little bit sideways off of the corner once that gap is gone. So I think that overall, Marinac and Dale O'Neill right on his bumper in 3rd are doing exactly what they need to right now, and that is keep the 51 within a second. But at some point, you're going to have to find a way to beat Justin Fuller. And as we saw 1 week ago, and as we've seen tonight, not yet.
Stefan Marinak went hard on the outside wall. He really burned the right front fender off of that thing, and the 16 of Dale O'Neill got right into him. That's really good for Justin Fuller, who you were just talking about. But you can see the entire tire on that 25 machine now. It's major damage on that car.
And that's the mistake that Marinak was hoping Justin Fuller would have, not that he himself would have. And it was a tough break for Dale O'Neill because kind of that's what he was waiting on too. That's what we thought that he was trying to get out of the 50. But earlier, pressure to the back bumper. If that guy makes a mistake, he got to jump on it. But there was really nothing Dale O'Neill could have done there because that car was too tight coming off of the quarter. Couldn't have just simply turned it more and gotten to the inside. So tough break for both of those guys because they both lose time to the 51.
In the 16, I think, when you were talking about using the bumper, the 16's the first one to use it. Now, he just used it a couple laps ago, not for the reasons that we were talking about, but even so, now that he has a lot of damage there, he's got to be careful about how he uses that bumper because there's already going to be a little bit of clogging happening between that and the engine, and keeping that thing cool for the rest of the race is not going to be an easy feat. They've got about 26, 27, 28 laps now to go, and with 25 laps, you could say that engine will probably make it, but if he makes more contact like that, even if it's just nudging a guy out of the way, that 25 of Marinak, that could be deadly for that car because these late models, they don't have the best protection for that engine and the airflow coming through it, so that's also something to think about. Also, another guy to think about is Nicholas Rasmussen, who was no part of that accident and is now watching these two guys waiting for a chance to pounce. And CJ Laver, he had a big gap between him and Nicholas Rasmussen. Rasmussen did check up a lot, and CJ Laver was able to reel them both in, so that's also another guy to watch with these last 25 laps.
Yeah, it's down to crunch time. A caution flag here takes about a fifth out of the remaining laps out of this one, and that may be the only hope for Stefan Marinak and friends. 15 cars on the lead lap at the moment. Nobody immediately in risk of going a lap down. Justin Fuller does have a couple of cars that have actuated away in front of him. Alex Horian, Travis Wallace. Those are already drivers that are multiple laps down. Eric Spencer, who is the last driver on the lead lap at the moment, is still 8 seconds in front of, technically being 11 seconds behind Justin Fuller, who's running 19-second lap times here at the moment. So right now, 15 drivers on the lead lap could be sustained through the end of this one. 0.8 of a second, though, still not going to cut it. Do we see maybe Nicholas Rasmussen get up onto that 16 to Dale O'Neill? O'Neill has lost positions to Rasmussen off of restarts. He's gotten him back. We haven't really seen him go head-to-head, though, and do something under green flag conditions. It has appeared outside of restarts, and it's kind of something that we observed in the opening 25 laps, and I think that it was a good one because it still seems true. Outside of those first, maybe even just 2-3 laps on it off of the restart, it is incredibly difficult for these guys inside the top 5 to pass just because they appear to be so evenly matched.
Yeah, I believe that 71 car has, he's kind of biding his time, or maybe even just settling in for the rest of the race. It is really difficult to pass these guys, and maybe he's waiting for a mistake like the 16 just had. One mistake does lead to another, and he's all over the back bumper of that 16. Another mistake would be perfect for Rasmussen right there, and if he was a little bit closer to him, I feel like Rasmussen's being a little reserved. If he was right on him, right behind him, and saw him going towards that wall, he could have made a quick dive to the bottom and passed him. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot of urgency with him, and maybe he's content with that because it's still a really good point stay to start to be in the top 5. He already has one top 5. He already has 2 top 10s. Will make it one more for each of those. Also, lap traffic going to be in the way for these guys, but I don't think it's going to affect either of them getting into this turn. But I think we're seeing a little bit more of a reserved Rasmussen right now.
Well, he does have a clean car. That's something that can't be said for Dale O'Neill or Stefan Marinak, and not much of the fault of Dale O'Neill's because he was on the back bumper with the 25 when it happened, but at least the front-end damage. Now, front-end damage is something you got to be careful with. You got to keep an eye on engine temps, and I'm not sure if it's hurting Dale O'Neill or if he's just starting to fall off, but there is now a clear separation amongst the two. Marinak only 0.6 of a second off, and in fact is just barely closing in the gap to Justin Fuller as we approach 15 laps to go. while Delaney is falling back. He's nearly twice as far back, 1.3 seconds to the deficit, and he's got Nicholas Rasmussen on the bumper, and Rasmussen kind of has incentive to get going, because I think if he hangs out any longer, he'll have CJ Lavere all over him from behind as well. The 2 machine right there in 5th.
Yeah, Lavere's been creeping up ever so slightly on the 71 machine, and when you talk about damage, temps are a big deal. But I think the 25, with hitting the wall as hard as he did, he may have even made a camber adjustment on that car. And I think that car's a little bit faster ever since it hit the wall. To be quite honest with you, there, Evan, that car's starting to really pick up some time on the 51 of Fuller, and it seems that he's gonna have just enough time to get to the back of him, but I don't know if he's gonna have enough time to actually execute a pass cleanly. Effectively, definitely he can make a pass, but cleanly, I don't know if that's going to happen with the way Justin Fuller has been running. I don't think there's any reason for Stefan with a beat-up car to wreck a very clean Justin Fuller for that win. But if he can get side by side with him and maybe give him a little bit of a nudge, I think that's the only chance he's really got at this point, as we got a little bit under 10 laps to go.
And close it into that point at about 3 laps from now. We'll be inside of the final 10 laps in the Kingsport Tire and Auto Center 125. And Justin Fuller may be trying to just ride out the clock. Marinak in the last 10 laps has gone from 8/10 back to 4/10. If he can continue at that pace, he can dump the 51 on the last lap, which means he'll get to the bumper. Doesn't guarantee that he can pass him. Again, those are always 2 very difficult things, and catching somebody is a whole different song and dance than making the move. And we've noted, we haven't seen the bumper come out yet. It's short track racing. I don't think Justin Fuller would be reserved from the number 2 position to hold off on giving somebody a nudge. Does Stefan Marinak pull that card? Fuller caught the fence that time. Marinak to 2 car lengths.
Yeah, it's only 2 car lengths, just like you said. And, Marinak's got to be smiling a little bit, knowing that, Justin Fuller, at this point in the race, I don't think has actually touched the wall this entire time. You see him getting his left tires on that yellow line and the exit of 4. It's helping him out. It's getting him a little bit looser than normal as these cars get a little tighter off of the corner. He's trying to get a little bit of an advantage as he can, but I think that time, 2 laps ago, he got a little bit too much that he couldn't handle. And he's getting really loose off of 4. I think Stefan Marinak's got to take advantage of that. He's running almost the same lap times, and he's losing time here, Evan.
Well, the 51 machine of Justin Fuller would have won this race if it was lap 100, and I said that I didn't think the extra 25 would be that big of a difference. It might actually be the difference maker. Inside of 10 laps to go, Justin Fuller just trying to hang on. Does he make that one more mistake that allows Marinak to get to him? Also, though, if you're the 25, you can't overdrive it. Don't put yourself in the fence. We've seen it already do it once tonight.
Yeah, that 25, I think he's got to wait for the most opportune moment here. He can't force the issue. He's got to wait for something to come to him, or maybe drive it down a little bit deep, maybe make Justin Fuller make a mistake without actually having to move him. We've seen that a number of times at short track racing, just getting as close as you can without actually going fender to fender. But I think Stefan or Justin Fuller has been on top of his game all night as he almost gives him a shot right there at a 2. Giving him a little bit of a bump there almost. That's got to go into your head a little bit as the leader. And I bet both their heart rates are up. I bet the 51 is just panicking just a little bit. I'm sure the 25 is just he's trying to be up on the wheel as hard as he can just to see everything that he's got, trying to put these next 5 laps in.
5 laps left to go from the New Smyrna Speedway. Do we see Stefan Marinak get win number 2 on the season and number 2 on his career, or does Justin Fuller get number 2 on the year in just the 3rd race? This one looks like, at least barring any sort of wild finish here, that we're going to see our first multi-time winner on the year in just week number 3. 3 laps to go this time around. Marinak a car length off of the back bumper. Does he make the move?
Oh, it's going to be close. I think Stefan Marinak is close enough to do the deed, but if he does get into the 51, I don't know if he's still going to be able to make the pass. He's going to be able to get him out of shape. He's got to really move him up the groove. He's got to get right there in the bumper and push
And he did that right
Oh,
there.
the bump!
He did it, and he's going to get under him, but he's not going to get the drive off. That's what I was just talking about. I don't think he's going to be able to get the drive off like the 51 can. And the 51, I think, jammed the brakes just a tiny bit, keeping his car straight, keeping the 25 with a lack of momentum. And this is going to be really interesting, that this last lap coming up.
That answers the question if he's willing to do it, but can he get back there? It may have been his one and only shot. 1 car length gap and 1 lap to go. Justin Fuller, he's led every single lap so far. How hard does Stefan Marinak drive it into turn number 3? Final time, he can't get there. Off of turn number 4, back-to-back wins. Justin Fuller wins at New Smyrna.
If I think the 25 had anything to do with changing the outcome of that race, I think that was the perfect time to do it, because if he did it any later, he would have no idea what the outcome would actually initially be. And I think with 3 laps to go was kind of an unexpected time to do it too. I don't think Justin Fuller was expecting it that early, with him being there the whole time.
Get the job done. He's going to head to the front straightaway and burn it down. Justin Fuller, your winner tonight from New Smyrna. And maybe Marinak just needed 130 laps, because the first bump is never really the bump that you like to send the guy in with. Normally, you get a warning shot, you loosen the guy up, and when you get to that second or third time around is when you really give it to him. And Fuller got a good hit, square to the back bumper. Stefan Marinak gave it to him, but he only had that one opportunity, and he gave him the one bump. Fuller was good enough of recovering from that contact to stay in front, and I think Marinak kind of messed up coming to the white flag there, put himself about a car length and changed back, and he wasn't able to get the job done. And now, as we noted, your championship leader, well, he hadn't won a race into tonight. Brandon Otto did lead the championship. Out of all drivers, well, he comes home way down the ladder tonight, ends up in 23rd position, and we may be looking at the 2 best cars so far in 2016. Fuller and Marinak once again exchange of wit amongst the 2, and now Justin Fuller's got 2 on the year already.
And Fuller's got himself in a little bit of a deficit considerably with the last 2 races he's been winning.
And trying to get himself out of the gap. Winner as of 1 week ago, but entered tonight 6th in the points after a rather bad result in the opening round at Iowa, where he was outside of the top 10. Nonetheless, we've got a multi-time winner, and it's just week number 3. We'll talk with the race winner tonight, Justin Fuller, in a moment. We'll take this opportunity to step aside one final time. You're watching the 2016-2017 Upstate Racing League Les Enterprises MP Roy Pro Late Model Series on LSRTV and iRacing Live post-race coming up next.
So I'm Dan Garrison, engineer at iRacing. I've been working on dynamic track and wanted to take the lab coat off to kind of give an update on what I've been doing to enhance things on the asphalt side, what we're kind of calling the dynamic track version 2. When we started looking at dirt and the interaction between the tire and the track, kind of pointed us to some things we could improve on the asphalt side as well. We were able to kind of rework the calculations that account for heat transferring generally in the direction from the tire to the track. The track will cool a little bit faster when cars are not on it, but more significantly, cars running on the track are going to impart more energy into it, bringing the temperature up and changing the racing experience so that you do have to be wary of the track getting hot and reducing your grip. I've been rethinking some of the calculations that determine kind of how the rubber is torn, whether it's how much is torn from the tire, how much is torn from a rubbered-in track. I've made some changes so that rolling tire will pick up more rubber. We also looked at the thickness of the rubber under the contact patch and realized we can make improvements to the model there. As a result, we're able to make the tire respond a little bit more to how much rubber is there. We're able to influence how fast the track rubbers in areas where the tires are working hard. So I'm excited about these changes that we're making. The temperature in the track is going to be a lot more dynamic. It's going to mean you're going to have to dive around looking for the cool parts of the track. I think it's going to make the different lines come in and change the racing experience, and I'm really kind of excited to see how this is going to change things following the September build when it comes out.
Welcome back live to the New Smyrna Speedway for the LSRTV post-race show. Now 3 races complete in a 2016-2017 Upstate Racing League Pro Late Model Series, presented in part, as always, by Les Enterprises MP Roy. Formed back in 2007 as Canada's only authorized race electronics dealership, but as a trackside parts vendor. They have since been expanding their offering, and their major products include Les Enterprises, MP Roy, cover from the companies such as AR Bodies, Coleman Racing Products, Jones Racing, Leaf Raceware, Longacare Racing Products, Port City Race Cars, Racing Electronics, Race Seaver, and Swift Springs. For more information regarding Les Enterprises, MP Roy, or their product offering, you can visit them online at lesenterprisesmproyinc.com or give them a call at 1-877-35-MP-ROY. It's 1-877-356-7769. Justin Fuller is your winner tonight for the New Smyrna Speedway. He goes back-to-back and gets his second win in 2016. We're trackside with the driver who led all 125 laps tonight. Justin, congratulations at the top of the show. We were talking a little bit about the lack of the tire strategy here tonight, and talking about how I really didn't think that the extra 25 laps of this race would be a difference, but you had a lot bigger of a gap at 25 to go than you did there on the last lap there. Contact inside of the closing laps. Marinac was all over you. Talk us through that fight.
Yeah, it was a really good race. I did a really good job saving my tires up until that final caution, and I finally said, you know what, just gonna go. We keep getting these 15, 20 lap runs, we get a caution, so there's really no point in trying to save that much. So I took off there, and I just burned off the right front, and he was definitely able to get back to me. He was definitely a bit faster than me there at the end of the race. So he gave me a couple bumps there, but nothing out of the ordinary for a short track race, and it was a good race. I had a lot of fun.
You didn't see much of Dale O'Neill after the caution flag there early, which kind of got him stuck back in third and fourth for the majority of the night. But in those first 25 laps, you two seemed to be the best two cars, pulling away early on, but the 16 wasn't able to really get to your inside. It looked like, though, that outside of the first couple of laps, and really no more than 3 laps off of the restart, for at least the guys up front, it was extremely difficult to pass. Somebody could get a nose to the inside, couldn't do much about it. Now, I know that you didn't have to do any passing tonight because you led the way start to finish in this one, but is that something maybe that you kind of picked up on as the night went on for the guys up front? We saw passing a lot of it outside the top 10 and a lot of side-by-side, but really for you guys up front, not much of that came outside of the restarts.
I'm not really sure. I know it was difficult to try and pass at the front. Because nobody was able to get by me, and they were faster than me. But I don't really know. We practiced in the afternoon, and the track temperature was 125 degrees, and the ambient temperature didn't really change much from practice to race time, but the track temperature dropped about 25, 30 degrees. So we definitely gained a lot of grip, and I think it threw a lot of people for a curveball. So you saw some comers and goers there, but I was happy that I was able to be consistent enough to stay at the front.
I know that we still have a long way to go to the championship, obviously, but you got the first one out of the way as of 1 week ago, and you get your second one here. Obviously, the objective, stay in the top 12 of the points. I don't think that if you guys can continue to run as good as we expected, that's going to be a huge concern for you guys going forwards. But, getting the win here tonight has to feel good, especially because, as we talked about last week, this is the track that will be the championship race and the 5th of 5 in the chase for the championship. You said you were looking forward to it. You got the job done. Does that give you any sort of confidence going towards the chase, or do you just kind of have to wait till you get there and kind of figure out the circumstances? Because that machine looked good tonight.
Oh, I love this track. I can't wait for the finale. I really can't. The difference is that I'm sure we'll have tires allotted in the pits for that race, because I think it's a 250 lap event. And that's where I've run into problems. These events where you don't have to pit, there's no tires, so it's easy to know your strategy. You're just not going to pit. And but when you start throwing in the mix where, well, okay, we can go down and get 4 tires, well, maybe 10, 15 guys aren't going to pit, and I'm going to pit, and I'm going to come out 15th to 20th place, and then you got to work your way through the field, get involved in a wreck, and that's where my issue comes into play. So these races right now, where I don't have to worry about pitting, I really think are falling into my comfort zone, and I kind of wish they were all this way.
If you guys can get a couple more that went as this one did here tonight, you guys will be in good standing. Long way to go. We head to the USA International Speedway for round number 4 coming up in 1 week's time. Justin, before we let you take off, as always, the sponsors, the shout-outs, and the good folks behind the scenes. Who makes it happen?
I got to thank Al Smith and the Upstate Racing League for putting this league on. Always been a great league. I've never had any issues here. I want to thank Kingsport Tire and Auto Center, not only for this week, but last week, because after rewatching the broadcast, I realized I slipped up and said that somebody else sponsored the race when they really did. Got to thank Lee Enterprise MP Roy for sponsoring the series. Got to thank you guys here in the booth, LSRTV, for all the great work that you guys do. Got to thank Aftermath Motorsports, all my teammates over there. Got to thank Atomic Sign Works with John Ada. Does a great job painting, does a great job designing. Look up Atomic Sign Works, get you something made up if you need it. And look forward to next week.
I know that you scuffed up the right side of that paint job a couple of times tonight, but it was no match, and you put that 51 at victory lane, Justin. Congratulations, back-to-back wins for you guys. We'll dare you to go for 3. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Have a great week.
Winner tonight for New Smyrna, first driver to get multiple trips to victory lane, and as we noted, is back-to-back Fuller once again on top, and maybe making his case that, hey, Brandon Otto, 3 races in, a tough race tonight, the 24 is sinking in the points. Maybe I am the championship favorite in 2016-2017. On the other end of that battle, Stefan Marinak literally gave it to him, gave him a bumper coming to 2 laps to go. It wasn't enough to get a second career win. Marinak gets P2 with Austin Coop as trackside with him.
Yeah, right here with the new points leader, Stefan Marinak. How does that have a nice ring to it there? Points leader.
Yeah, definitely happy with that. But yeah, I would have liked to have gotten the win. But I'm with Brandon having trouble. I should have a pretty good points lead, so I'm leaving here pretty happy.
Now, you started on the grid 5th, and with the multiple restarts that we had, it seemed like you were the only one that was really able to keep up with Justin Fuller in the very large strides he was able to get on those first couple laps. What was the difference between you and the rest of the field on keeping up with him on those restarts?
Well, I was able. I think we had 2 or 3 restarts, and I was able to get to second from the bottom lane, which nobody else could really seem to do. I don't even know how I did it. I just barely got clear both times. But if once I got clear on the bottom in turn 2, I was able to stay with him a little bit, and as long as no one was beside me, I could keep pace with him pretty good.
Now, the cars 2, 3, 4, so yourself, Dale O'Neill, and Nicholas Rasmussen were there the whole time. You guys were sometimes in jumbled position. Sometimes you were in 4th, 3rd. You 3 were constantly together through that entire portion of the race, and all your cars were clean up until around lap 93. You had one of the most clean cars up into that point. Do you think that hindered your progress up towards the front, or do you think that they give you maybe a little camber adjustment going forward, actually helping you to get to Justin Fuller?
Well, I hit the wall like with 25 to go, I would say, and I thought I was done at that point because I could see my right front. It was caved in pretty bad. But I don't know. I guess my tires were a little bit better than his. But yeah, like me, Dale, Nick, we couldn't, like none of us could really move all race long, and I think it had to do with the no tire rule, which I don't think I'm really a big fan of because it was kind of the same way last week. There was really no movement, and then I caught Justin Fuller by like 0.6, and it was pretty much impossible to pass him. So there was really no movement going on, and we were all kind of stuck there together.
Yeah, we did see you have a good battle with him towards the end. Fuller mentioned that you were faster than him, and I think we could all say that you were definitely closing in on him, but passing him was going to be difficult, and we said you're going to have to give him the bumper. You did it with about 2 or 3 to go, but when you did give that bump, you gave him a little bit more momentum. Did you think about giving him another bump before it was all over, or what was going on through this last couple laps that were with you?
Yeah, I tried to back up turns 1 and 2, but he got a really good run through there, and I think I was like 2/10 behind him on the backstretch. So I tried to drive it in pretty hard in turn 3, and I didn't want to wreck him, but I was coming in pretty fast, and I had to check up just a little bit, and I just missed his bumper, and I ended up overdriving it. So he pulled away from me just enough, but I didn't want to wreck him, but yeah, I was going to try to give him the bumper.
Well, going forward, this racetrack is also the finale. Anything that you're going to be taking forward as you do get second place here?
Well, yeah, if we're allowed to take tires in the finale, I really hope that we are. I think there's going to be a lot of options because, at the beginning of the race, the bottom line was the only line to run, and then I noticed with probably 30 laps in, the high side started coming in, and you could kind of run both lines. So hopefully we run it in the daytime, so the rubber gets put down. Hopefully we have tires, but I think it should be a good race.
Yeah, it will be 200 laps as opposed to the 125 that you guys had tonight. Regardless of whichever strategy it will be, I'm sure it will be exciting one way or the other to see slipping and sliding or strategy be the case. Nonetheless, you do finish P2, second place, silver medal for you tonight. Who makes it all happen for you in this 25 machine?
Mach 1 Racing Graphics, my teammate CJ Lever. I want to give a shout out to him. He finished 5th, and all the sponsors that sponsor the league. I really appreciate that, and you guys at LSRTV.
All right, that is your third place finisher, Dale or Stefan Marinak. Congratulations on your second place finish.
Thank you.
Moving right down along pit road, I'm going to come out be with Dale O'Neill, who finishes third place. Dale O'Neill, you had yourself a good starting position. It just seemed that on those starts, Justin Fuller got a really good jump, and almost such a good jump that he led the outside line a little bit. Go through with us on those restarts in your race here.
Yeah, pretty much I felt like whoever qualified on the pole for this race, kind of like last week, was going to win the race. Lucas Oil and New Smyrna, they're both real hard tracks to pass at, so it was all about track position tonight, and I felt like I had the car to get the pole, but I messed up in qualifying.
Yeah, we watched you throughout the race, and it seemed like you had one of the fastest cars out there, if not the fastest at one point, especially in the beginning stages of the races. You were able to plant it down to the bottom, but like you just said, weren't able to pass. Did you ever think about maybe giving it a bumper? Because we saw this exponential speed from that 16 machine.
When I was behind Fuller that early in the race, I wasn't going to push the issue too much, but where I was beating, everybody was down in 3 and 4. Nobody was really putting their left front tire down on the apron, and that was getting my nose to turn. But over in 1 and 2, I was kind of missing it. I get down into the corner, I get on the valance, and that's where I was losing most of my time. But I felt like I was the class of the field in 3 and 4.
Throughout the race, you had quite the clean car. You did get a little in the wall here and there, but nothing that all the other drivers did. Around 25 laps to go, you and Stefan Marinak have a little bit of issue. We noticed a little bit of decrease in speed. Was that affecting you with temperatures, or do you think just the aerodynamics of the car and the 71 behind you had the effect on that?
Yeah, at the end there, when he got into the wall, I ran into the back of him pretty hard, and towards the end there, it was bogging pretty bad. I felt like I was down on power, but not much I could do. We hit the wall, and I had nowhere to go. We were that close, so it was a good finish overall. I'm happy with it.
Well, you do finish P3 for the night, and you can't do it alone. Who makes it all happen out here for you in the number 16 Chevrolet?
I got to thank Al Smith, everybody who puts on the league. I got to thank Laser Enterprise MP Roy, Kingsport Tire and Auto Center, and all the other sponsors. And I got to thank Tents of Champlain, Vigor Supply for sponsoring my car. They get me here every week.
Well, everybody, that is your third place finisher, Dale O'Neill. Thanks for giving us a little bit of your time, and congratulations on your third place finish.
Thank you.
That is the number 16 of Dale O'Neill, finishing P3. But it's all about the winner, Justin Fuller. He leads every single lap here tonight, Evan. I think that's always when you lead every lap, it's such a dominant performance. I think that shows this field in 2 in a row as well. That's a statement throughout these races to come, and I think more or less this is going to be starting a trend for that 51 machine.
It may be as well, talking with Stefan Marinak as well, these guys are the 2 drivers who have won so far this year. But as I said earlier, I think as well, it's almost a shot at Brandon Otto, who is the defending champion. And if you recall back to last season, for those who tuned in, was he in the 51? Who did battle for a bunch of that season. So Justin Fuller could kind of be sending a message down to that team, but who knows, Stefan Marinak kind of storming onto the scene here early as somebody who could be one of those championship favorites come chase racing. Do want to give one more thanks again to Kingsport Tire and Auto Center for providing coverage of both last week's race and as well being once again a sponsor with us here tonight. Kingsport Tire and Auto Care, you can trust us to be your complete car care center. We have been locally owned and operated in Kingsport, Tennessee since 1998. We offer comfortable waiting areas and clean and well-stocked facilities. If you can't wait for your vehicle, that's no problem, as we offer a shuttle service within our traded area. Our staff is very knowledgeable, ASE certified technicians who help us operate our business with honesty and integrity, 2 qualities our owner Larry Buckner prides himself in. Our motto is we advise and you decide. We will talk to you and we'll let you know when you don't need any additional service done in your vehicle to help you avoid unnecessary costs. Kingsport supplies name brand tires from Goodyear, Dunlop, and Kelly, and we can have a large inventory in stock. And if you don't have what you need, in most cases, we can get it to you in the next hours, if not just the very next day. In order to go the extra mile with our customers, we provide service warranties and have financing options available, as well as servicing national accounts. So I want to give a call one more time to Kingsport Tire and Auto Center. So we move on down the line, Austin, the USA International Speedway. In 1 week's time, what is now a parking lot is one of the more popular short tracks on the sim, and it's a place that a lot of guys have experience at. We look forward to the NHR 125.
Yeah, you just had to say that, didn't you?
I had to throw it in there.
USA is a lot like this new Smyrna track. It's a little bit wider in the corners at certain places on the track, but it's more symmetrical than New Smyrna. New Smyrna definitely has a lot going on in both corners that are different than each other. USA is going to be a little bit easier for these guys who aren't as seasoned as the winner of tonight and a couple of the guys up front. They'll have an easier time with next week's track because it's a little bit more simpler, easier to get around than this track.
We look forward to seeing you coming up in 1 week's time for that. We hope that you join us for the rest of the 2016-2017 Upstate Racing League Les Enterprises MP Roy Pro Late Model Series. You can find an extended broadcast schedule to find out the next time. You can find LSRTV right here back on the iRacing Live portal on our website at www.livesimracing.com. You could also keep up with us on social media. Give us a follow on Twitter at LSRTV, and make sure to give us a like on our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/live sim racing TV. Until next time, that does it here tonight from Samsula, Florida. On behalf of the entire LSRTV team behind the scenes and for the crew tonight, for myself, Evan Pizzoco, for Austin Coop and Cisco Scaramuza, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Congratulations to Justin Fuller, 2-time winner in 2016. We'll see if he can go for a 3rd from USA International Speedway next week. We'll see you then.
This copyrighted broadcast is presented under the authority of LSRTV LLC and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations and may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form, nor the accounts and descriptions of this event disseminated in any way without the express written permission of Live Sim Racing TV. LSRTV would like to thank its loyal fans for their continued support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.